Good evening, and welcome to Thinking Thursday with Bronwyn. Tonight, we are talking all about the heart. Yes, it's a matter of the heart, and we're going to find out why. So, February is Heart Health Month, and as such, we want to make sure that we know that you know your heart is healthy. And I always tell you that when we think about our health, it's a matter of spiritual, physical, and psychological well being, and they're all interconnected. Well, since they are all interconnected, we're going to find out just how true that is about the heart today. The heart, we can't live without it. And we're going to discuss that. But first, let's take a few of those warm, cleansing breaths that we always do to start the show. So, as always, we are going to take in a few deep breaths. For those of you who it may be your first time here, let me tell you why. When you take in deep, cleansing breaths, you put more oxygen in your brain, more oxygen flowing through your bloodstream, and you're better off for having that oxygen flow in your life, making things more healthy for you. When you do that, you'll allow yourself to relax and calm down. And if there have been cares of the day, you allow them to be put aside for a little bit, for just a moment, as you get ready to enjoy us this evening. So I will count in to the count of four very slowly, and I want you to breathe in very slowly. Then I'll count out to the count of four, and you will breathe out to the count of four. Let's get started. Breathe in, two, three, four. Out, two, three, four. In, two, three, four. Out, two, three, four. One final breath in, two, three, four. Out, two, three, four. Hopefully, you have breathed in a moment and gotten rid of some of the cares of the world for the day. As I said, it is Heart Health Month, and we want to look at the heart from a spiritual, physical, and mental point of view. Proverbs 23, 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Wow, just think, everything you do flows from your heart. One thing I like to always say about the heart is this. If something happens and you are brain dead, they can keep you alive and you're considered brain dead, but your organs still function. If your heart stops functioning, you're dead. The heart is the essence of who we are. It is that life force, and physically and spiritually. And if our heart isn't right, psychologically, we're not right either. Let me see what you think about this question. Is a broken heart real? Do you really think that a broken heart is a real thing? Well, guess what? It is. A broken heart really is real. Doctors have talked about this. When I first thought about doing this particular show, that's what made me do it. I heard someone talk about um, a spiritual heart and a physical heart. And of course, I had to add the emotional piece to it because from a mental health perspective, Not only do I see them as all going together, I also couldn't see talking about the heart without considering the physical aspect of it. So, yes, a broken heart is a real thing. And here is what happens when one has a broken heart. Um, what happens, there is a specific name for it, and it is called broken heart syndrome. And it can actually lead, it happens when someone is emotionally overwhelmed, or there's a traumatic event, and it triggers surges of stress hormones in your heart. These hormones can put you in short-term heart failure. So yes, that broken heart, that traumatic event shows up in your heart, and it really does. It is for real. You can have a broken heart, and someone else, can you die from a broken heart? Well, maybe not die from a broken heart, but that broken heart can totally impact your life. And in some of my research, it says yes, that is a possibility, that that broken heart that you're experiencing, if things aren't worked out, could even cause death. So a broken heart is real. So when we talk about the heart tonight, we're going to see just how real the heart is, and just how much we need to manage our heart. Again, from the physical, spiritual, and mental point of view, what do we need to do with this thing called a heart? We all have one. I used to like to jokingly say, I'm heartless. I worked with kids, and I would say I was mean, um, and I was too mean. So my students never believed it, but that was my line, and I'm sticking to it. Someone says that's why Jesus wept. He had a broken heart. When he went and Lazarus was dead, he wept. His heart was broken. We can all have a broken heart. So what about stress? Does stress impact our heart? Oh my gosh. Who of us has not experienced stress in our lives? And when we think about here in Texas, last week we had a major storm that caused people to be without power. And some people still, a week later, still are without electricity. Water, there was water damage, pipes burst in the ceiling. People were without water for a while, some for days, some for hours. But there was so much that went on with this storm that it caused a tremendous amount of stress. People are still feeling the stress of that storm. So how does that stress impact your heart? Or do you think it does? If you think it does, you are 100% correct. Stress totally can impact your heart. According to American Heart Association, one of the effects of stress can be heart disease and stroke. If you're finding yourself under too much stress for a period of time, heart disease could occur, stroke could occur. I had a job once that was causing a lot of stress in my life. Went to the doctor. I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's like my chest hurts by this. So they did an EKG, they did all these tests. It was stress. However, my doctor told me that the stress that I was under was starting to impact my heart. And that if I didn't change it, I would have heart trouble. I have no heart trouble, didn't want any heart trouble. So I thought, I might need to change the type of stress I'm dealing with. I left the job because I liked having a life more than I liked having money. And I realized I couldn't change the stress on the job. I couldn't even really change how I managed that stress. I couldn't. I didn't, it wasn't working. I couldn't change that stress. So since I couldn't change the stress, I changed the job. And I did. I left the job, and the stress got better. But it was crazy. I have firsthand knowledge of knowing stress can kill, and that's what my doctor said. So we're still looking at just the heart. So we have to protect our heart. Going back to that verse, protect your heart. It is so important. What are some things we need to know about our heart? I want you to know there's some numbers you need to know that impact your heart. And let's look at what numbers matter. First off, how many steps do you take per day? That's simply implying we need to move. If you even if you just walk, it is recommended that there are 10,000 steps a day, 5,000 steps a day you've heard. And if you can't get your steps in, can you move? My job has me sitting a lot. I'm a therapist and I do teletherapy. I sit in front of this computer with this same camera all day long for however many clients I have. For example, today I saw 6 clients. I mean, for 6 hours, I was sitting still without moving. I try not to put my clients back to back so I can get up and move. If nothing else, I walk around my house. Yesterday, beautiful day. So I got out and walked 15 minutes twice in the daytime. The day, not so beautiful, and I had a lot to do. But even then, I get up and move. No, I'm not getting 10,000 steps in, but I'm not just sitting. I'm working toward that. I've added things in my life where during those days where I'm sitting, I literally now am putting in my calendar walk, move, exercise, or what I'm going to do. I schedule it in. Movement, take some steps. Just walking can improve your heart. Know your blood pressure and do what it takes to make it better if there's some changes that needs to be made. When we think about that, especially in the African American community, we typically have a lot of blood pressure issues. Some of it comes from our diet, some is hereditary, but blood pressure is something that impacts our community and it impacts it greatly. A lot of the food we like, yeah, it's going to impact us. Make small changes, but know your numbers. I'm not going to sit here and quote. I read it and I have it on my notes what, is considered good numbers. I'm not a health professional. I'm a mental health professional, not a physical health professional. So I'm not going to tell you the numbers, but get with your doctor and know what's right for you. High blood pressure is a silent killer. Here's the thing, it doesn't necessarily have any symptoms. So you need to go and figure out, or it might, the symptoms, by the time you have symptoms, it's gone far. And you might not even really realize it, or we write them off. Oh, I've had these headaches lately. I've been a little lightheaded. Or all these things you might be feeling that you write off, don't write them off. Blood pressure, that's a number you need to know. Know your non-HDL cholesterol. There are, and I'm not even going to try to explain that one, but know what your cholesterol numbers are. Know what your cholesterol is. What is it? How is it going to impact your life? And these are numbers that are easy to take. You can purchase a blood pressure kit, a home blood pressure kit, and um, test your blood pressure regularly. For knowing how many steps you take if you have a smartphone. You don't even have to go buy a watch. If you have a smartphone, there are apps that will manage and let you know how many steps you take a day. I recently found out there are at home cholesterol kits. I looked into it to see how reliable they're supposed to be. And there's some, like all things, there's some that are more reliable than others. They range anywhere from $40 to $200 or $300. But if you don't have insurance, there's still things to do. That's why I'm saying this. Know your blood sugar. And again, until it gets out of control, you may not have any symptoms and know that you're having a problem with your blood sugar. Diabetes is another killer in our community. It doesn't have to be. When you know your numbers and know your numbers well, you are able to manage those numbers. So know them, manage them, do what it takes to make your numbers matter. It's important. One other number you need to know is how many hours of sleep you get a night. Now that varies from person to person of how many hours you need. However, you do need an estimate of 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night. Many of us don't get it. And I say us because I don't. I may wake up in the middle of the night and not go back to sleep. Um, and I have to start practicing what I preach. I can walk my clients through it and give them all the tools to get back to sleep and sleep through the night. And they report back, that was great. I did it. So now I'm having to do it because when I realized that sleep, the number of hours of sleep you get, is something else that impacts your heart. I'm like, really? Ooh, I better think about that a little more. I was kind of writing off the fact that I'm not getting enough sleep. But sleep is important. And think about it, when you get enough sleep, you do function better during the day. Um, Again, and then these 5 steps are coming from Johns Hopkins. What we should do, what we should do about knowing your steps. And that steps, again, it's just moving. Are you moving enough? If you have a sedentary job, get up. Park at the end of the aisle, so you have to walk up. Our weather lately is not such that you want to do that. And when we have extreme heat in the summer, you don't want to walk far. But if that's all the time you can fit in, do that. Walk further. Know your blood pressure, know your cholesterol numbers, know your blood sugar, and get sleep. That's a hard one, but get sleep. And some of these are simple to change. Maybe it's changing the way you eat. I'm working my way to a much more plant-based diet because it's so much healthier. And that can impact all of these, even my sleep, because when I did it for a month, I slept great. I felt great. So you do what it takes for you. Get with your doctor, your physician, and find out, what are my numbers? What do I need to do to make my numbers better? Because not knowing your numbers can have a negative impact on your life. Not knowing any of these literally can kill. So that's looking at the physical side. And we're going to see how it all plays together, even the physical things we talked about, how it fits with the spiritual and psychological. Because with any of those, if your blood pressure is out of whack and you start feeling lightheaded and feeling good and you stay in that zone for a while, you are not going to be good emotionally. When you're not good emotionally and physically, it impacts your spiritual life. It truly can. When any of these happen, think about it. If you just don't get enough sleep night after night, you're tired, you're grumpy, and that sleep, as it says, can impact your heart. It can also totally impact your mood. You're in a funky mood when you're tired. So then you're in this funky mood and you want to, okay, yeah, I have my quiet time every morning. I'm going to get up and study. I'm so sleepy. I will sleep 5 more minutes. Oh, yeah, Lord. Well, you're going to get that other 5 minutes of sleep, but you're going to do it because you're too tired. So then you lack off, I'm going to move my study time to the end of the day. And I'm going to get with the Lord and I'm going to be there at the end of the day because in the first part of the morning, it's not good. By the end of the day, I'm so tired, I'm just going to bed. So you see how one can just roll over and impact the other. So when we think about our spiritual health and getting ready for it and our psychological health, okay, be ready for a rough ride. It's not easy to make changes, especially if you have been living under stress for a long time. It's hard to say, oh, I'm just going to stop and I'm not going to experience stress. I'm going to manage it. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do everything right. Now, if you've been doing everything wrong, don't put yourself under a crazy sense of something where you have to change everything at one time. I'm a big proponent in baby steps, but yeah, it can be a rough ride eliminating your steps. So, we're going to look at it from this spiritual and psychological point of view. Psalm 139:23 says, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. That's coming from the New International Version. Isn't it interesting when we're asking God to search us, we ask Him to search the heart, and then we talk about having anxious thoughts. Earlier, I talked about the heart being the center of our physical life, that we can be brain dead, but if our heart is still working, they don't declare us dead. But if our heart stops working, you are then declared dead. Once the heart is gone, you're gone. Wow, how important that heart is. But the heart is also the center of who we are spiritually. Look at this verse. It says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart." Not know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. But first, it's know my heart. And God knows our hearts. I knew someone who used to say, God only knows only sees the palpitations of our heart. He doesn't see us, he sees our heart. Because the heart is the essence of who we are spiritually as well. But in this same verse, it's acknowledging that we will have anxious thoughts. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Lord, I got anxiety going on. I'm worried. And a lot of times when we're in that worried state, we're worrying and we're not trusting. Search me, oh God, and know my heart. What's in your heart? Is there something that you want to look at in your heart? As I said, we need to be ready for a bumpy ride. And by that I mean, when you ask God to really search your heart, look at your heart, what is He going to say? What happens when you search your heart? Do you have a heart for God? Do you have a heart filled with hate, filled with unforgiveness? Hmm. We're going to find out in a minute. Even that can impact who you are. So let's move forward. I have about three things I want to say about our emotional and spiritual heart. And the first is be forgiving. Why? So I'm going to give you the verse and then we're going to talk about it. Colossians 3:13 says, "Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you." So spiritually, forgiving frees us up to have a relationship with God. In Matthew 6:14, that's right after the Lord's Prayer, it says, the Lord will forgive you basically as you forgive others. We're required to forgive, but from a psychological point of view and physical point of view. When we're holding this unforgiveness in our heart, in our mind, we are holding in a lot of negative energy. And let me tell you what I mean by negative energy. Have you ever walked into a room and maybe some people have been arguing or there's some discord and you look around, you might see the faces, no one's saying anything, but you feel a heaviness in the room and you're like, what's going on? Oh, nothing. And you're like, okay, you might not want to say, but I know something's going on. You feel that energy. And conversely, let's say it's a birthday party. It's somebody's birthday party and they jamming and your favorite song is playing. Everybody's having a good time. You're getting your dance on. You just having a good time. The energy in that room feels good. Feels very different than that first example. I bring that up to say that our emotions, our feelings we feel them. There's an energy, there's something that we can physically feel. So when you're holding this unforgiveness, which can lead to hate in your body, you're holding all that negative energy in your body. Is that good? No. That unforgiveness and the stress you're holding, that can impact your spiritual heart and your physical heart. Because when you're really wrapped up in unforgiveness, you put a lot of negative energy into a person that you don't even like. I always look at it this way: why am I going to allow someone that I don't like or someone who's done me wrong to occupy space in my head? Why am I going to allow them to take time away from my life? Because here's what happens. Let's say you're really upset with somebody, and somebody just mentions their name, and you go, ugh, ugh. When you do that, you know what? You've given them a lot of control because they change your mood. You might be in a good mood. You hear the name and it's them. You have allowed that person to change your mood. Do they deserve that right? No, but you've given it to them. So when you think about forgiveness and its relationship to the heart, it frees when you are able to forgive, it frees the heart up to live. It frees the heart up to share and love. When you're not forgiving this person on this side, it's hard to love the person on this side because your heart is working hard to not forgive. So, forgiveness, be willing to forgive. Be loving. Love is an action word. Now, this one I'm going to break down a little more. Mark 12, 20, and 31 from the spiritual way of looking at your love in your heart. It says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. The second commandment is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Now, here's what's interesting: love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, here's one of our stresses. We get so busy sometimes wanting to do everything for everybody else, and we don't have time to take care of ourselves. Really? Is that a good thing? It's not. We are taking care of everybody and want to make sure everybody gets everything right and everybody has everything they need but us. Well, it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your neighbor the way you love yourself. Well, see, what's implied in this verse is that you would love yourself. I will tell you, in the work I do, that's not true for everyone. Everyone does not love themselves. And many people get so caught up in doing everything for everybody that they don't think that they should. Well, I've got to do this, I got to do that, I got to be loving, I've got to put myself last. Well, if you're on an airplane, what does it say? If you've ever flown, you will know that it says, if if the emergency, how did they say it? If the emergency signal comes on and the air masks fall down, you are to put the air mask on and you're caring for somebody, put the air mask on your face first, and then on the person that you're taking care of. You know why? If you fall out, who's going to be there to take care of them? You have to take care of you to take care of somebody else. And that includes taking care of your heart. And I mean the spiritual heart, I mean the physical heart, I mean the emotional heart. And it also says we love the Lord our God with all your heart. The first thing it says, before it says your soul, before it says your mind, before it says your strength, love God with all your heart. Then love your neighbor as you love yourself. And as you're working on being loving and you get it right and realize, I got to love me too, then you're going to want to go out and do other things. Love is truly, love's a verb. It's an action word. It has feet. If you're really going to love and show love, you're going to do things that show it. You're not going to sort of be isolated. No, you're going to show it. You're going to do what you need to do to say, this is how I show love. So you're going to show it. You're going to do it. People will know that you are walking in love because they're going to see it. In this time of our world where the pandemic is still here, and here in Texas, we just had all this craziness go on with the weather, there are people who need simple things. If you have something that you can share, share. We can share out of our abundance. Sometimes we can share just out of our barely making ourselves. But show love the way you want it to be shown. Show love to others, but show love to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves. It's, I can't, I can't believe I did this. That was so horrible. I'm this, I'm that. Be gentle. Like I said, when you love your neighbor as you love yourself, love yourself. Be gentle. It's okay. And I didn't mention it on the forgiveness, but forgive yourself. Everyone has done something wrong. You're living and breathing and old enough to listen to this. You've done something you regret, or you look back and say, I probably shouldn't have done that. And if that's the case, forgive yourself. You did it. It's over. Love yourself, forgive yourself, move past it. Um, and realize you're human. You messed up before, and guess what? If you keep living and breathing, you'll mess up again. Um, be still. This is a hard one. Be still and know that I am God. Now, our heart is a funny thing. Physically, for our heart, we've got to move. We got to get up and move. We got to get the blood flowing. We've got to make everything work that way. But we also have to know for our mental heart health and our spiritual health when it comes to our heart, we've got to know how to be still. Now, being still is a hard thing for most people, especially those who are working with a matter of a heart. Because when we're busy being loving, we got to go do all this stuff. I've got to go and help over here, and I got to go help over here. Oh, and then I have a child, I got to help make sure I spend time with my child. You know, they're in 50 different activities, even with COVID. So I got to take them here, here, and here. And while I'm taking them here, you know, they're going to be in dance for an hour. So while they're in dance, I'm going to go shopping for the neighbor who can't get out. And then once I do that, I'll come back. And then on the way, we're going to go drop off the stuff at the neighbor's house. Oh, I got to feed my child. Where am I going to put it cooking? Well, since it's so busy, we're going to go out and eat. Oh, and when we go out to eat, it probably won't be healthy. We're going to drive through. And you get so busy, and they're good things. I like to say sometimes we do good things, but they aren't God things. By that I mean we can do a lot of good things that God wants that uplift God. We're helping the neighbor. We're doing this. We're being a good parent. But maybe that's not what God ordained you personally to do. So when you learn to be still, maybe you need to be still and listen. But as I said, being still is hard because being still means I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to listen to God, or I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to be quiet. When was the last time you took 5 minutes to breathe and just sit and be still? Not think about anything. You cleared your head and you were still. I challenge you to try to do that. It's not an easy thing to be still, to sit there and not let anything happen. What comes to your mind comes to your mind and tell the thought to go. Just sit there for 5 minutes and be still. How challenging is that to be still? And with this verse, I say, it's be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Just know. Be still. Just be. Take time to sit and just be. It's not an easy task, but it can be very beneficial for your heart. You can slow it down and in this time of being still, just sit. Take some deep breaths. Be quiet. Quiet the world around you. That can help even lowering your blood pressure in the moment because you're still, you're quiet. Now, that be still can be combined with movement. Maybe you're going to go take a quiet walk and just walk to the end of your block. Just walk around your backyard. Just walk in silence. Don't even turn any music on. Just walk in silence. So you can be still and movement because you can be emotionally still. And being emotionally still is very, very beneficial. Just be still. It can totally change your life. Um, it can help. Just looking at all of this that we've said about a heart and putting it into perspective of just psychologically what's going on, let me sort of look at it this way. As I said, spiritually and physically, the heart is the essence of who we are. And so it is emotionally. Began by talking about a broken heart. That's an emotional thing we think of. but it has physical ramifications. It has spiritual ramifications because when your heart is broken, man, it's sometimes hard to talk to God when you have a broken heart. Or you're just pouring out to Him because the heart is broken and you're pouring out of brokenness in a whole different way. So it's still impacted. So psychologically, when we want to take care of ourselves, we take care of our spiritual heart. We take care of our emotional heart because that emotional heart can guide us. Have you ever been in a relationship that was a good relationship, but you had a horrible argument and things were said that hurt? Your emotional well being, your emotional heart is damaged, and words can never come back. Spiritually, you're crushed because this was the love of your life and they said something horrible, or maybe you're the one that said it and you know you can't get those words back. Emotionally, you're damaged. Emotionally, your heart is heavy. And remember that broken heart acts out physically. So take care of your heart when we look at Heart Health Month. Your heart is the only one you're going to get that works. You may get a transplant and you got to take care of that one too. Tonight was designed to be a little bit shorter, but we still have a call to action to talk about. Take time to know your heart health. Know your numbers. We talked earlier about knowing your cholesterol number, knowing your glucose level, knowing your blood pressure, getting the right amount of sleep. Know the numbers that impact your heart. Everybody's numbers are different, but know your numbers. Know what it is you need to do to be healthy, to be heart healthy. You can make your numbers better by changing what you eat and simple steps. You can impact their people. There's the oatmeal challenge I know people are doing to eat oatmeal. I forgot how many times a day, once a day, I mean, for 30 days, I believe it is. And it should lower your cholesterol. So there's some simple things you can do to make your numbers better. But first, you have to know what they are. They may be great, then work to keep them great. Take time to be kind to yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, and be still before God. Everything that you're doing for others, being loving, being forgiving, being kind, do it for yourself. Take the time to do something that's going to show love to you because you're worth it. If you've messed up, no matter how bad, forgive yourself and take time to be still before God. Just be still. Just sit, or as I said, maybe that being still means I'm going to take a quiet walk. I'm being still emotionally because I'm not doing anything but walking and moving and listening to the sounds of nature. So I'm being still and moving. It's a paradox, but it's possible. And I'd like to remind you to stay politically aware. The stress of not being aware can impact your heart because if you don't really know what's going on, it can impact your life. And by the time you find out and you're already in a stressed out situation, that's not good either. So be politically aware. There is so much going on. Understand why in Texas, if you're here, that what does ERCOT mean to your life? We found out during last week, it means a lot. But being politically aware on a regular basis means I'm going to stay aware of the things that are going on in my life and around me. And I will remind you the pandemic is not ended. So mask up because wearing is caring. I am Bronwyn Lucas with Able Counseling and Consulting, where we affirm, build, lead, and empower you. I'm a licensed professional counselor, certified Christian counselor, and life coach. I'm here to help you. You don't have to take care of all the issues of your spiritual and emotional heart. Sometimes you need help. I am a licensed professional counselor, as I said. If you're in need of help, reach out. Give me a call at 682 272 3949. That number is 682-272-3949. If I'm not the person that you need, I will help you find who you need. I am not egomaniacal enough to think I'm the only therapist in town. No, if there is someone else who can help you, I want to help you find them. So reach out to someone if you need help. You don't have to do this all alone. As I like to always say, mental health is health. So take care of your health this week and see you next week, same time, same place, here on Thinking Thursday. Bye now.